You name it, we've lived it.
And are living it.
Brits moving from the UK all the way to Australia with not a pot to piss in.
A whirlwind romance sparkled on Tinder.
3 months in, pregnant, starting 2 now successful businesses through COVID.
To another 2 new businesses post-COVID, whilst juggling 2 young, spirited children.
Living worldwide, travelling, and pure hustle. We are nothing short of batshit crazy, but motivated as fuck. We are here to tell you our story,
Inspire,
teach,
and probably scare the crap out of you.
uncut, raw, and real. Welcome to Business, Babies and Banter
with Henry
and Jade. Welcome to Business, Babies and Banter. I'm Jade.
and Henrik.
And today we thought about it and we were like, what can we speak about that's going to inspire, motivate, but also that we have loads of knowledge on? Because
It's also a topic that people have asked about recently.
100%, yeah. I was actually inspired today when I was asked a question around this. So we're talking about becoming an entrepreneur, starting a business and moving the needle basically of your life, which is a huge needle to move, going from being an employee, which is basically what everyone starts off doing, right? Unless your mum and dad own a business, then you inherit it, or but most of the time, you study, you finish school in some way, shape or form, and you get a job. So how do you move from that into the idea and then ultimately starting a business?
So that's what we're going to cover today, isn't it?
Well, that's what let's think.
That would be perfect. No, I agree. It's great. It's good. Fantastic. Valerie, so what do you try? Okay, do you try to take an intro?
Talk to me about your journey, Heather, because obviously I was the catalyst to your success. So tell me about how things started to you, just for everyone's clarification of what a wonderful, life-changing influence I've been on Henry.
Jade had an idea, which was
Oh, here we go. Now he's going to belittle the idea and be like, but it would have done nothing without me. Right? Well, be guys, because this can't just be an argument. It actually has to be.
well, you not even started it. You can't poke the bear and expect him not to attack. So the Jade definitely had a fantastic idea, and she was very much the go-getting person who, was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And there's an element of rogueness and risk and flamboyancy to that, but it's what's needed. But I think when you were talking about what you were doing, I was like, yeah, it's good, but you should be doing this instead. And I think my strategic mind and things that I did, I looked at the market, I looked at other things, and I came from it from a different angle. And that's why I think it was I helped so well at the early stages, because I helped us change the direction in certain areas, which helped.
And he was like, yeah, so how much money have you got behind this? I was like, well, nothing. And he was like, okay, how much money have you put in? I was like, everything. And he was like, so how do you plan on getting your return on investment? I was like, just going to make it happen. And he was like, okay. So
100%. That's 0% strategy.
it's but yeah, and I think from my perspective, I am that kind of dreamer person. So in a nutshell, we have spoken about Privé before, but I'd been a hairdresser for many years. I'd managed salons, done all the things. And I'd always, to be fair, if I'd have had capital, I would have just opened a hair salon straight away, but I didn't. And so it would have been, I did see salons. I went to view salons that I could inherit or purchase and then fit out. And again, like Henry's like, why the fuck would you go and view a salon if you've got no money? I was like, I don't know. But I'd take hassle.
Should we go and view this house? Right, we haven't got money to borrow. Let's go and view it anyway.
You can make it by your own. But no, so I had this idea and I was like, I'd started doing more mobile hairdressing myself. And I noticed so I was looking at the market, but it wasn't a strategy. It was just basically basic level of intelligence that saw, okay, there is a type of people that want this service, that are willing to pay this amount, and they're very interested, because I was making good money. Working part-time at Tony Guy, doing mobile hair, and then those clients were asking for makeup and hair up, which I didn't offer. So I started connecting people. And then in the connection, it got a bit of work, and I was like, well, maybe I can charge the client marginally more, pay the staff really well. And I asked the small team, when I say team that I had there, basically just friends doing me favors. And they were like, yeah, I don't mind if you charge the client more. It's fine. So that's where Privé started. But one of the things that I think holds in your mind, Henry, because we might have different views on this, like we do with most things. when we talk about starting a business, what do you think it is in your eyes that holds people back the most? Like, what stops people taking that step, or, they have an idea or they have a skill set? What is it that stops them?
Just overthinking, over planning. Like so many people, though, they want to wait for the they want to wait for the perfect time, the perfect scenario, the perfect environment. They need this amount of money. They need to make sure this happens before this happens. If that's just like a black hole, which you'll always forever be going around. And the most important thing in business is time and speed. Like, you got to do things quickly. You got to move fast, because it always takes longer than you think. So the slower you go and the more you plan and the more you overthink and over prep plan things, the harder it's going to be. And then you overthink it, then you question yourself. And before you know it, you've gone around in 5 circles and you fucked yourself. And your initial idea of going, let's just do this, is what you need to execute on. Of course, there's elements of thinking, there's elements of planning, but there's then overthinking as well. I think something that, we've done in the past is we've had an idea. We're like, does it work financially? Yep. Is there a market for it? Yep. Is this something that we can certainly do and we can make work? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. And then you break down into the steps of what needs to be done first to get that ball rolling. And then you just action plan it and move on each step as you go. And I think a lot of people, that's the thing, a lot of people will go, okay, well, I want to start, I have an idea, I know what I want to do, and I feel like this is what I need to do, but then they miss that execution. And it's the execution and the taking action is the biggest part that holds people back. In my
100%. So obviously I speak to a lot of clients who are looking to start new businesses. And yeah, it is, first of all, finding a coach is a great first step, because it means you're open enough and vulnerable enough to be like, I'm going to invest in someone that's going to hold me accountable and push me in places that don't feel comfortable. So they're already going to make more progress than someone that hasn't got a coach. But it's the fear. It's the fear of, like, the unknown. It's the fear of if it doesn't work. It's the fear of it is overwhelming. Like, but the thing is, it's a mindset thing, because you don't have to know all the steps. And, as long as you're not a total fuckwit, research it. I didn't know anything about an ABN. Like, how do I set up an ABN? So I Googled it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I found an accountant and I said to him, this is my budget, which was literally nothing. I just wanted to have an initial consult with you to ask about, what do I need to do to start up something that is, I'm going to call it Privé, and it's going to be mobile hairdressing. How will I go about that? And then I drove. He was in Clayton, great accountant, and very well priced. And he gave me a free consult and he said, yeah, so these are the kind of numbers. He asked me about some pricing. He got me some prep. And that was before I even met Henry, and I did it on my own. And so it is about just getting started, but also being open and flexible enough to change, because this is where people get it wrong as well. So there's this, isn't there? There's this, delay in getting started because everything has to be perfect. I have to have 20 grand savings, then I have to have 20 grand capital investment, and then I need this. And if anything goes wrong, then, there's all this inflexibility. Well, the fact of the matter is, you got to take that out the window. But then second, things are going to change as you go as well. It's probably going to take twice as long, twice as much money. And it may not end up looking exactly how you thought it would be, but you have to move with that, because that's actually what being an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
Problem solving.
When you started, obviously, doing hair coloring and coloring and hairdressing at home, there was barely anything on the market for it. Like, hair and makeup was already, mobile hair and makeup companies existed, but doing the hair at home, there were so many complications and so many difficulties. Washing someone's hair, basin, color, all the things. There were so many variables for it, but the element of the luxury service that came along with it was what we took from that and then added to hair and makeup. So, but we wouldn't have known. So now what we've got is like a hybrid of one and the other, and we've mixed them together. But had you not started doing it that way,
In some way, shape, or form.
we'd have never got to the end conclusion. So
Like, I was never going to train to be a makeup artist. The reason, I started Privé, I was at the top of my game in hair coloring and styling specifically. I wasn't interested in taking on loads of new skills, but I knew that I had a real drive. I wanted flexibility in my life. I wanted freedom. And I loved what mobile hairdressing brought. But I knew that I didn't want to be the only one on the tools. I wanted to expand this because that's ultimately how you build freedom, right? If you're going to be the star of the show and you're the only one working, there is a certain level of commitment that you have there. So yeah, it started off mobile hairdressing, and I was like, had this vision. I was like, we're gonna have hairdressers, and we can go nationwide, and people will literally laugh. They're like, you reckon you're gonna build a company from doing mobile hair in Australia? And like, how are you gonna find these team? I was like, this is before Zoom and COVID, by the way. And I was like, I don't know. I just know I'm gonna do it. And then, of course, the makeup thing came in. And then I realized that even though I was very diligent when I was coloring hair, I was very professional, I had all the best products. And there is a huge thing with public liability, especially when you're going to wealthy people's houses, carpets, sofas, etc. And the actual scalability of that, even on a small scale, to entrust someone under your name that's going to go in and not cause damage, and just the testing and making sure that they're using the right products, it was actually way too complicated. So very quickly, it happened very quick, didn't it? We realized that the forte here and the non-risk and the scalability is going to lie in hairstyling and makeup.
And it's also where the market was. Like when I started running the Google ads, we were getting fucking zero bites for mobile hairdressing. That apart from Margaret, who wanted a blue rinse.
Yeah, or can you cut my mum's hair? She's 90. We're looking to spend about $40.
That was
Thank you, Sarfin, because Cody still gets calls like that to this day.
that was the market for mobile hair, and then the market for events and for weddings. It's not greater. So I think that's just like it was a non-negotiable. It had to pivot.
We had to, stop to use that word.
Pivot, but the elements of when I met Jade, she was going to people's houses and bringing them a fucking dressing gown with Prevail on it, so that it could go in, get their hair washed, have their hair coloured, because obviously they have wet hair, so they had a dressing gown to wear and all this sort of stuff. So all those little like elements and luxury touches were 100% on the right track. We just obviously had to change our niche market.
The foundation was there. So the foundation was premium. And still to this day, the team wear what I used to wear. Like I would wear all black. I didn't have a name badge, but I sure as hell would have had fun if I could. But yeah, I wore all black. I always had great hair and makeup. I went in, I had all my equipment. I had a professional little pull-along bag. And like, yeah, it is a different experience to having someone show up with a top knot and no makeup on, which is generally what people do for mobile hair. And even to this day, we have girls go on large wedding bookings and they might engage with two companies. So we might do all the makeup or vice versa with hair. And our team go in looking A1. Beautiful black blazers like our Henry's here today. Nice shoes, great hair and makeup. And the other team from whatever company, or they might be solo operators, just look like a bag of shit basically. So they're in their pajamas and it's not inspiring, and I just think it's the standard.
I think something to talk about starting new business.
We get really enthralled in it. Sorry guys.
No, for people talking about new businesses, that for a very, 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 very long time we didn't make any money. And we obviously, you probably had to get a job. I was doing a job and we were doing things and we were just spending money. We were trying to get clients. We were doing all the things, we were optimizing, we were hoping, praying. And the other thing that people who, when they start new businesses, if you're starting a business because you need money, you're fucked.
Yes, wrong idea.
If you're starting a new business because you want to change your job, it's done. It takes low.
You've got to want more for your life. It's got to be, and I know this isn't necessarily your thing, as in like being a bit emotional, but it's about, okay, everyone wants money, right? I get it. Like, I'm not going to lie. And I didn't go into Purvey thinking, I don't really want that much money. Everyone wants money, but money is a byproduct of really wanting more for your life. Like desiring more, wanting to be more, achieve more freedom. And how do you get freedom? Well, you get it from having money, right? From having more money. That's a massive contributing factor. And I think when you go into it and you have this unwavering, relentless attitude of like, no matter what happens today, I'm going to get up sharp and I'm going to make it happen. And given there were days when I would cry and be like, especially being pregnant, I was my third pregnancy.
I was like,
No, I know, but I was working so fucking hard. I started work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd finish at 2 p.m. and then I'd go to do mobile hair straight after work. And I wouldn't get home until 7, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. It was a big job.
Because you had a lot of debt that you were trying to pay off.
I did have a lot of debt that I was trying to pay off. So don't be in debt, ideally, when you start a business as well. But no, but the point is, like, you have to want so much more for yourself and you have to be relentless. So if you're going into it thinking, oh, I've got this make money fast idea, and you literally have no real depth in why you want it or why you're doing it, you don't have any interest in the real benefits to the customers, whether it's e-commerce product or a service, and you just want to make money quick, it is not going to fucking happen. Or maybe you're going to be lucky and it will happen, but it will crash and burn. It won't be sustainable.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. I think the other one is welcoming and being prepared that 9 times out of 10, the decision that you make is going to be the wrong decision.
And especially in the beginning.
Especially in the beginning, we're talking about new start new business. You're going to make the things that you think are going to work at the start, you'll do it. And then you'll quickly realize it doesn't, it's wrong. That's actually a good thing. And then you'll find your way and you'll start, going on the right path when you make the changes of the decisions. But welcoming, I don't want to say failure because everyone's like, hey, it's a good thing, but actually welcoming being wrong, welcoming doing the things wrong, making mistakes, it's going to happen. So just rather than, but that's the thing, people are scared of that. People are scared that they're going to make a mistake and they're going to lose money or they're going to waste time. Or then you actually have to.
Or they're too proud.
You actually have to. Someone, I don't know where this go, you'd be someone on Instagram and they're like, you want to be chasing the losses and the failures.
Yes.
Just like chasing.
Yeah.
Like I want to fail and just do.
I want to fail as many times as possible. So
I know it sounds super cliche and it's a little bit silly, but it actually is kind of the truth.
100%. It's also just that ability, like we said earlier, we used it a few times, the word pivot and self-analysis. Like if you can't do those two things, you will never succeed in any business. Doesn't matter whether you're a sole trader. If you can't self-analyze and be like, okay, and you're blaming the world or you're blaming the situation or the market or do you know what I fucking hear all the time and it does piss me off? It's the economy. It's the economy. It's that. I'm like, there's always going to be changes in the fucking economy. There's always going to be something, but how are you pivoting? Like we managed to scale from a one person, like fucking star of the show Melbourne thing to throughout COVID, we scaled the business nationwide because we had a baby on the way and we had to pivot so fucking hard and self-analyze. And rather than going, oh, well, the economy's fucked and it's COVID and we can't do anything, we were like, okay, the salon is fucked because we literally, we were trying to do products online, we were doing education, we were doing tutorials, but it was new business. But the mobile business, we were like, well, how can we leverage this? Can we open in other states? Yes, we can. How? And we worked it out. And there is always something you can do rather than just being the victim and the martyr.
Yeah.
And it's constant self-analysis and being like, you know what? Yeah, that was probably what I probably could have done that better. Or what have I learned from that experience? That even though it was very unfortunate and I could have done nothing to change it, how have I learned from that and how can I apply myself now?
Yep. And I think then the next thing would definitely be when starting a new business is managing your time. So you're not going to quit your job straight away unless you've
don't. There's so many people that do that. They're like, yeah, I'm going to quit the job and start this. And I'm like,
the thing is, you have to be prepared to work before your job and work after your job for months and months, if not years. And then at the point where you can replace your income, you probably still don't want to lose your job because that money that you're making, you're probably going to be putting into marketing, reinvesting. So you're going to have to be prepared for a long time if you're starting something or you're building something to work additional to your actual job. And that is 9 times out of 10 going to have to happen unless you've got money behind you, which most people's cases they don't have.
I actually saw a really good, Alex Pomozzi, he does the most amazing. I know you love him.
I don't watch him that much at all.
No, but he does do good stuff. And you introduced me to him anyway. He wrote, it's not your 9 to 5 that will kill your dreams. It's what you do in your 5 till 9. AKA, I mean, it could be 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. to be fair, but I think he meant 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So your 9 to 5 is your bread and butter. right? Unless you've got inheritance or you're very lucky in some ways. But even then, I'd say stick with your fucking job. Just stick with something that's going to be bread and butter, consistent. And, there are so many options these days, especially with our like flimsy, like, especially in the corporate world, it's like, you can do a day working from home. You can drop a day. You can work 30 hours a week. There's levels and tiers that you can peel away as your business develops and grows and as more is needed of you. But ultimately, you got to fucking dig your heels in.
And it's important too, because when you do that at the start, you then learn all your different departments of your business. So you're going to do some socials, you're going to do the website, you're going to do the sales, you're going to do the customer feedback, you're going to do the product launches, you're going to do all the shit that you have to do because you're the one that wears all the hats. And then eventually you then become the most experienced master in all of those areas, that when you do employ someone or you do bring on a VA or you do bring on team members, you can then train them and tell them exactly how you want it to be done. So it's such an important part. So many people will go, fuck that, not with social, we'll get someone else.
I don't like doing it. There's lots of things that you don't fucking like doing in business, but how badly do you want it?
Well, there is actually nothing wrong with getting a VA in, getting someone in to help you set things. But unless you can give them the direction and show them exactly how you want it done, you're not ready to bring someone in.
100%. And I will say that as well, because another thing that I get questioned a lot with my coaching clients, some of them have new businesses they've already started, and then they're like, shit, don't know what to do, or they're wanting to start a new business. But a question a lot is, well, I really struggle with this, or I'm not very good at this, and it becomes a bit of a blockage, or they put it off, or they don't, and I'm like, you actually don't need to be amazing at everything. You just need to know the basics of everything. But then when you actually delve into it, some of the questions I ask is, have you utilized YouTube? And they're like, what for? I'm like, well, if you don't really know how to work your Wix website, have you looked at tutorials online? They're like, no. I'm like, well, do it. In fact, a lot of these website companies or email marketing companies or Facebook ads even, they host free education, don't they? They actually say, they fucking call us all the time. Just like, mate.
Not just that, though. We didn't have it before, but you can literally write into GPT.
Yeah, there was no chat GPT when we were.
How do I do this? How do I write my ass? And GPT will tell you exactly where to put the hand and where's your mic.
Get Hugo to do that because she's not right at wiping his ass. Throw away a few best pats every week. But no, seriously, and this again comes back down to that resilience though, right? And that just
resourcefulness.
That just being like, I'm just going to go for it, rather than becoming against the blockage, which is going to occur multiple fucking times. I'm telling you, as soon as you're making even a little bit of money and you think you're all right, there's going to be a blockage. Something's going to happen and you got to problem solve it. Are you going to put it off and be like, oh, I'm not very good at this and this is hard and I don't have time? Or are you going to nail it in and be like, right, I'm going to set my alarm an hour early tomorrow so I can fucking problem solve this issue that I have. I'm going to research. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to put a message. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be so resourceful. And it's just the message that you put out to the universe constantly. Is that, don't you think, to a degree? Like, when you're that hungry and nothing can stop you and you're like, no matter what happens today, I'm going to make sure that I resolve this. And it might not be your forte. It's actually better if it's not your strength because you learn more.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a level of aggressiveness that you need to do it, because if you don't know the things, you have to be relentless in understanding it and then just working your way through all the elements.
100%. So one of the conversations that I had with, we won't say 2 months, not this new marriage.
Don't say that.
One of the questions was, he's not sure if he's in a career that he does really well at and wanting to start a business in that, but isn't sure if that's actually what he really loves. There's actually other things that he might enjoy more, and he's just a bit confused. Has so much potential, very intelligent, hardworking, but is like delaying, is a bit wanting to get everything perfect. And there's an opportunity in the same industry to start a business, but it's indirectly thinking, do I really want to fucking do that? What would your advice be on that front? And
I obviously know a bit more of the details, but
Henry also didn't know he's going to be an owner of a salon or a hair and makeup company. And look at him now. He was doing construction when I met him, and if you'd have asked him, he would have been like,
no. But if you're someone that has the network and the ability to start something and utilize that network very easily and quickly, and you've got a name in that industry and you've already got some credibility, people know who you are, people know what you can do, you're not starting from scratch.
True.
Right? That is, yes, it's a new business, but you're not starting from scratch. You can hit the ground running very quickly, get a couple of clients in, and the whole thing's completely different. So on that instance, I think we've already had that conversation. I think you should do that fucking straight away, because he spent a huge amount of time building
Experience, skill set,
everything. That's it. And then, but you, on the other side is, if it's something that they hate and they're like, "Do you know what, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life," is there a way that they can transfer the network, the people, the skills into something different? Absolutely. It might even be the same type of role, different industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
I think that could be something that could definitely work for that person.
And that's exactly what you did. You didn't intend, but you wouldn't have opened a hair and makeup company.
Just
You were there, sorry.
I wasn't a construction person forever. I was sponsored.
If most people that watch Pretty Ladies getting upset now. No, he was in construction making fucking more money than appropriate, to say the least.
Yeah.
Because that's what Australia is like, by the way. If you want to come to Australia and just make loads of money, just be a labourer.
Smoke fags.
So about 25 grades. If anything over 35, you get called off and for still paid. It's like a joke. But Henry, the reason I asked you was because you are the perfect example of that. Now, I know it was me, but you fully committed to it. It's not like, I wasn't asking you desperately, please join me. I just felt bad because I was asking him so much advice. I was like, what do you reckon about this logo? How do you reckon we should do this? How's this going to work? What about this idea? And I just said to him, like, do you want to actually be part of this with me? There's no pressure, because I actually feel like
bank account and thought, fuck me, I've run out of money. I need another 40 grand. And this.
I did not. You did not have 40 grand at that point, mate. You were fucking. Don't even. But mate, I had side hustles as well. I was subleasing my rooms and fucking had multiple fucking rented houses that I don't know if it's 100% legal, but I was hustling too. But yeah, and so he has applied his recruitment, his left brain, also your natural abilities. So this is a really important thing to talk about as well, because I think honing in on your natural abilities is super important, right? So not just it, and I know that you don't love the word peppers, but what are you good at as a person? Okay, so me, I'm great at being empathetic, communicating. I'm very creative. I've got a very motivated, big energy about me. So there's some of my natural abilities. So in the areas that I've chosen to work in and have a business in, I'm able to apply these things. And the same for you, Henry. So he's been flexible because, hair and makeup. He's not a hair and makeup person, but he's applied his natural abilities into these areas of the business. Tell me a little bit more about that, because I think that's important as well, because some people, and by the way, everyone has natural ability. There's not one person in this earth that doesn't have a natural ability.
Well, you've got better memory than me. What was my one? What did we work out my thing was?
No, I'm not talking about purpose. That's a little bit deeper and more spiritual. But your natural abilities are sales, recruitment, strategy, left brain. Like, if I asked you to paint a fucking picture of your favorite memory, you'd probably draw a fucking little dog that you do with Hugo.
Favorite memory. I wouldn't say that.
Well, you wouldn't even know, but you wouldn't even know what to draw. Like, that's what I mean. But he's not creative like that.
Yeah.
He can appreciate creativity, but he's not naturally creative. But that's not a bad thing. So it's about really understanding, okay, where are my weaknesses and how can I be better at them to stabilize and start this business? And where are my strengths and where can I really get the most out of this concept, idea, leaning on my strengths?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're starting a new business, if you know that there's an area that you're very strong with, that is the area that you want to be spending a lot of time. And of course, you want to bring up your weaknesses, but if you've got a special trait, that is something that will make you that will propel you faster than spreading out your time in other areas. And we've not discussed this, but I know that we're not always you don't always advise people on having a business partner. But if you're someone that is extremely great with tech and can create the systems and processes for your company or something, or you're amazing at the graphics and can make amazing marketing, but you're shit with the other side of things, actually having someone that has those elements.
Yeah,
That also can also make a big difference.
it's not like we spoke about this in one of the earlier podcasts. It's not like I think having a business partner is great, but you are married to that person. So you just have to be really mindful of it. You know, don't go out and be like finding any Tom, Dick and Harry that you don't really know or trust or have any reliable, like real knowledge about them and be like, you seem like a great person. We've got a semi-aligned idea. Let's go for it. Because on Tinder, hey, do you want to spend a company? That's literally what we did. Thanks. But no, seriously, it's very, very big thing to go into. And I think you just have to really know the person and, be very, very aligned in many ways, because the last thing that you want is to actually build something that actually gets successful and then it will go to crack because the other person doesn't actually have the same values or vision long term as what you might. And that does happen a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I think we'll wrap it up with that. But I hope if you are thinking of starting a business or it's something that you've considered,
Send Jade a question. Just ask her.
send me a question. No, honestly, just fucking go for it. Just go for it. Make the biggest and most important steps are the first steps, because once you start, it's much easier to build momentum. But if you procrastinate and you just sit on it, and there's never going to be a good time, you're always going to be, there's always going to be an excuse. So just go for it.
Yeah. Adios.
Adios, amigos. Chat to you next time. Thanks for listening.
And hopefully laughing. Be sure to leave us a review, and if you're into the madness,
Check out the links below to follow our day-to-day journey.
stay tuned for the next episode.